The Fox 61 News at 6 starts now.
Happening now in Waterbury, crews are wrapping up repairs to the Thomaston Avenue water main that broke at the beginning of last month. Officials say the repairs are just temporarily patching up a broader issue for the city as aging pipes continue to pose a high risk. Thank you so much for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Annette Montgomery. Fox 61's Jamel Johnson was at a conference with city and state leaders where they discussed options to correct that problem.
Officials made it clear that the city's aging infrastructure caused a catastrophic failure, and as they continue repairs on the initial break, they need state and federal government funds to mitigate future risk.
It could happen anywhere, and it's out of sight, out of mind, until there's a perfect storm, as happened with Waterbury.
It was a storm that was brewing in Waterbury for years. Pipes in the ground that date back to the early 20th century, combined with the frigid temperatures, brought the city one of its largest infrastructure failures in recent history. Waterbury Mayor Paul Pernaruski and Water Superintendent Brad Millay sat down with Senator Richard Blumenthal and Congresswoman Johanna Hayes to discuss solutions to the problem.
Had the valve been there and operational, no one would have lost water. It would have been a 2 or 3 hour, walk around, close some valves, keep pumping water, and gotten in the hole and made the repair. But that's just not the case in not only Waterbury, but almost every municipality across the state. The funding that's needed to go forward with those projects is not a small thing.
Millay says installing 10 valves that would isolate a major break could cost between $5 to $6 million. Senator Blumenthal says that funding is doable, but obstacles do stand in the way.
The Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, Donald Trump has proposed cutting by 90%. The House, in its budget, has cut it by 65%. Cutting this program by 90% is totally irresponsible and reprehensible.
Senator Blumenthal says the city will support the Drinking Water Fund at the same level as 2025 and has even requested the budget for it be increased. But it could be a while until funding is approved and in the hands of the city.
We don't have enough to do all of it at once. The initial valves we'll be able to start working on as soon as we can put the projects together and get the parts for them.
Congresswoman Hayes says the state is also planning to apply for funding from the Water Resources Development Act. It's not clear yet how much money the city could receive from that if approved.
I think just making sure we have some kind of a contingency so that while the work is being done, that people are assured that if this is going to take 3 days, you're not going to lose water for 3 days.
I'm persuaded, having heard Brad and the mayor, that Waterbury is moving forward in a way that can be addressed very doably in terms of funding.
Now, as far as the Thomaston Avenue repairs go, the work on the pipes is now done, and repairs to the road will start Monday to hopefully open the road back up to drivers soon. In Waterbury, Jamel Johnson, Fox 61.
Thank you, Jamel. And over in Norwich, water is fully restored for some families after a water main break there. Now, it was just fixed a few hours ago after it broke on Old Salem Road. Norwich Public Utilities say it took crews 5 hours to make repairs, but they didn't say what caused the initial break. A Waterbury police sergeant and recently elected alderman is now accused of mixing campaign activities with his work as an officer. We reached out to the Waterbury Police Department for more details surrounding Adrian Sanchez. They only confirmed that his unpaid 15-day suspension begins this Sunday. Sanchez has been with the department for 17 years, and we also reached out to him for comment. Sanchez tells us he's done nothing wrong and his union has filed a grievance. He also says the grievance process will fully address the matter. Well, right now, let's turn over to the weather. If you have anything planned this weekend, keep in mind it's going to be cold. Meteorologist Sam Samperi is now here with a check on what to expect as you head out the door. Sam.
That's right, Annette. Of course, we're right in the smack dab in the middle of winter now, January 2026. And the weekend is going to be in the upper 20s to lower 30s for both days under a mix of sun and clouds. And we have a little bit more mood snow coming in for early Sunday morning, maybe before we all get up. We'll wake up to a little bit of coating of fresh snow showers. Right now, we're in the teens and 20s, feeling more like the lower teens at many locations right now. That's because we have a little bit of wind, but the wind isn't all that bad. It is diminishing. We did have couple of snow flurries, a couple of streamers moving on down that northwest flow, but all these snow showers are going to dissipate now that the sky is, now it's not nighttime. The atmosphere is stabilizing, quiet, so overnight, clear, cold, and temperatures down into the teens. This is downtown Hartford, but colder in those outlying areas, especially in northern Connecticut, in those valleys with the fresh snowpack. And then during the day tomorrow, sun mixing with afternoon clouds. Then we'll have high temperatures getting into the upper 20s to around or just 30. Coming up, I will time out those snow showers. Yeah, we'll talk about the full moon coming up tomorrow and what you can expect into next week. Annette?
Thank you so much, Sam. Well, right now, an arrest has been made after a woman was shot in New Haven on New Year's Eve. Police say just before 8 p.m. on Chapel Street, there was an exchange of gunfire between one man and several people inside a car. After the shootout, police say the car crashed and the people inside ran away. They say the man on the sidewalk was identified as 53-year-old Hashimu Barker. He's now charged with assault and reckless endangerment. Anyone who may have witnessed the shooting or has any information, please contact New Haven Police. Well, right now, 5 people remain in the hospital after a crash in Waterbury. Police say 3 people have life-threatening injuries and 2 children were also involved in that crash. Bunker Hill Avenue is currently shut down for that ongoing investigation. Officials tell us 2 cars crashed around 12:10 this afternoon. We know firefighters also had to pull 2 people out of the wreckage. We will continue to provide updates as soon as we learn any more information. A 60-year-old Stamford man is now facing charges after police say he shot another man in the hand on New Year's Eve. Thankfully, that victim is expected to be okay, but officers say they found him near the Tully Center just after 10 p.m. at night, and investigators say they later found Raymond Downey with a handgun. Downey was arrested and is now charged with assault and firearm charges. At this time, that investigation is still ongoing. Over in Stamford Superior Court today, a man accused of murdering his own mother in New Canaan waived his right to a probable cause hearing. And that means Sebastian von Stockham will now allow a judge to decide if there's enough evidence. If the judge does not find enough evidence, his charges could be reduced or dropped altogether. The 20-year-old did not enter a plea. His probable cause hearing has been scheduled for February 26. Police say Von Stockham called 911 last October and said he killed his mother. The autopsy report said she died from blunt injuries to her head. We'll take a look. Longtime Connecticut radio broadcaster Barbara Davitt has died. Barbara began her career in radio in the late 1950s and was cherished as a colleague and mentor at WATR Radio for 61 years. Barbara was also a Hall of Fame member for the Connecticut Broadcasters Association. In a statement, WATR said she was a living landmark to an era of broadcasting and civic involvement that she represented until the end with passion, grace, and dignity. She was 92 years old. New at 6, Holy Cross High School in Waterbury is now mourning the loss of 2 of their former teachers. They both died on December 29th. James Harris Sr. was there when Holy Cross opened back in 1968, and he worked there for 41 years. He taught physical science before becoming a physical education teacher. Harris Sr. also started and was the first head varsity football and baseball coach. He was even named Connecticut High School Baseball Coach of the Year back in 1992. He died at the age of 81 years old. And Holy Cross former athletics director James Cunningham also died. Cunningham was the assistant football coach with Harris Sr., but he started the school's first wrestling program. Cunningham worked at Holy Cross for 33 years and retired back in 2004. He died at the age of 82. Well, as we soak up the first week of 2026, we're also taking time to take a look back at some of our favorite stories from 2025. We spent several months last year digging into manufacturing here in Connecticut, and that includes Pratt and Whitney, one of Connecticut's largest employers. Fox 61's Sarah Sanchez looks back at how the company started back on Capitol Avenue in Hartford 100 years ago.
We had an idea for an air-cooled engine needed capital, needed a place to do it.
Pratt and Whitney Machine Tool Company had it right on Capitol Avenue in Hartford.
Connecticut, wonderful reputation for precision manufacturing, skilled workforce, center of commerce, really.
Every American has his job to do.
World War II, its factories worked around the clock to produce tens of thousands of engines that helped carry Allied forces to victory. Its pivot to military production led to the game-changing R-1340 Wasp, which was in production for 30 years.
All told, when you look at all Wasp variants, over 400,000 were produced over its life. No other engine in aviation history has been produced in that volume.
Pratt's engines powered World War II icons from the C-47 transport to the B-24 bomber and fighter aircraft. Pratt and Whitney scaled up, ultimately streamlining its manufacturing for mass production to meet demand. But perhaps more importantly, Pratt and Whitney made a name for itself.
Every one of these engines that we deliver on the data plate, it says Pratt and Whitney dependable engines. And this really comes out of World War II and pilots coming back with aircraft and engines that had sustained battle damage but got them home.
Since then, President Shane Eddy says he's proud that generations of families have built careers at Pratt and Whitney in both East Hartford and Middletown. He's also proud of its partnerships with local universities.
Those programs that we do together involve a research element, so not only developing and building, but testing future technologies.
Through the years, with job transfers, mergers, and investments outside Connecticut, there have been fears that Pratt and Whitney would move its headquarters elsewhere. But Eddy says the company recommitted in 2017 to keep operations in East Hartford.
We've grown from this Connecticut-based company to a global organization of 45,000 people, but our roots, our home, our beginnings are in Connecticut, and our future is going to be in Connecticut for years to come.
And that was Sarah Sanchez reporting. Now, if you're wondering what's next for the next generation of aircraft, Eddy says for commercial aircrafts, it's fuel efficiency. For military aircraft, increased range and survivability. And as for the company as a whole, they say they want to stay relevant and innovative.